Enjoying the podcast? Well, then you just might love the book. City of Nightmares. 500 haunts, killers, and cryptids from across the USA. Uncover America's darkest secrets, one nightmare at a time. From the restless spirits of haunted mansions to the chilling legends of cryptids lurking in the shadows, City of Nightmares is your ultimate guide to 500 spine-tingling locations across all 50 states. Whether you're a seasoned ghost hunter, a true crime aficionado, or simply a thrill seeker in search of your next adventure, this book has everything you need to dive into the eerie unknown. City of Nightmares, now available on Amazon in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle. Get your copy today.
There's a place in Idaho where the Snake River narrows and twists between towering rock formations. It's beautiful, peaceful even. But ask around Power County, and they'll tell you those waters hold something darker than the currents, something ancient, something crying. I'm your host, Dan David. Welcome to City of Nightmares. Tucked in southeastern Idaho, Power County is often overshadowed by the sprawling farmlands and open ranges that define much of the state. But make no mistake, this area is rich in both history and tension. It's home to American Falls, a modest city perched along the Snake River and sits near what was once the Oregon Trail, a path that carried thousands of settlers westward in the 1800s. Chasing opportunity across a landscape already deeply inhabited and fiercely contested. Just west of town lies Massacre Rock State Park, one of the region's most breathtaking landmarks. The park takes its name from a narrow passage between massive volcanic boulders, once referred to ominously as Devil's Gate, where pioneers feared ambush by native tribes. In August of 1862, a series of skirmishes between settlers and Shoshone warriors took place here. At least 8 pioneers were killed, and around 20 Shoshone lost their lives as well. Though not a full-scale massacre in the traditional sense, the name stuck. And so did the air of violence and grief that clings to the basalt walls. But the story of this land didn't begin with wagon trains and rifles. Long before settlers ever carved their way across the frontier, this region belonged to the Shoshone people, one of the oldest and most enduring indigenous cultures of the American West. Their territory spanned parts of Idaho, Utah, Nevada, and Wyoming, and their seasonal migrations followed the rhythm of the land. The bands closest to Power County were the Fort Hall Shoshone, who often moved and hunted alongside their Bannock neighbors. The Shoshone lived in harmony with the land, hunting deer and buffalo, fishing the Snake River for salmon, and gathering native plants like camas root and bitterbrush. They weren't just surviving, they were thriving in a way that connected their identity to the earth itself. Spirituality was infused in every part of their lives. Animals, rivers, and celestial bodies were seen as living forces. Vision quests, sun dances, and storytelling rituals passed knowledge and warnings down through generations. But with the arrival of European settlers, their way of life unraveled. Buffalo herds vanished, conflict erupted, and by 1863, less than a year after the battles at Massacre Rocks, U.S. soldiers carried out the Bear River Massacre further southeast, killing up to 400 Shoshone men, women, and children at a winter encampment. It remains one of the deadliest attacks on Native Americans in U.S. history. The trauma of that period echoes in the oral traditions that have survived. Some are tales of pride and perseverance. Others are darker. And behind the windswept cliffs and pioneer trail markers is a legend too disturbing to ignore. A story of mourning, of revenge, and of screams beneath the surface. The legend of the water babies is one of the most chilling to emerge from the banks of the Snake River near Massacre Rocks. Some say it began during a time of starvation, a brutal winter when food was gone, and entire bands faced death by exposure or hunger. In this version of the story, Shoshone women, desperate, with no options left, were forced to drown their infants in the Snake River, believing it would spare them from slow, agonizing deaths. Other accounts suggest something even darker, that the children were not merely sacrificed to the elements, but were considered cursed, unwanted, or born into bad omens. Some oral traditions hint at spiritual imbalance. Children born with deformities or unusual traits seen as signs of punishment or broken connection with the spirit world. Whatever the origin, the result was the same. Babies lost to the water, and something, according to legend, that returned. Whatever the origin, the result was the same. Babies lost to the water, and something that returned. To this day, stories persist of strange cries drifting across the water at night. Campers along the Snake River near Massacre Rocks have reported hearing the faint sound of a baby wailing. So soft and distant at first, it almost seems like the wind. But then, the sound sharpens, louder, closer, until it feels like it's coming from just beyond the tent flap. Even more unsettling are the stories of people feeling something tug at them from below. Wet, childlike hands pulling at pant legs, or brushing their ankles while they wade in the shallows. A few witnesses claim they were nearly dragged under, and only escaped after thrashing wildly and fleeing the river in a panic. While some believe the water babies are the restless spirits of the drowned, forever crying out for their mothers, others paint a much more sinister picture. These aren't victims, they're predators. In many retellings, the water babies are said to lure people in with crying, only to attack. Some say they have bloated purple skin and glowing eyes. Others claim they've developed fins or claws over the centuries, or that they can shapeshift, appearing first as helpless children, and then as something monstrous. Paranormal investigators have visited the area with mixed results. Some say they've recorded unexplained cries. Others leave empty-handed, but shaken. One ghost hunter once wrote that, even though their camera caught nothing, they couldn't stop themselves from checking over their shoulder every few seconds, as if something invisible was pacing the shore. Whether it's cautionary folklore meant to keep children from dangerous riverbanks, or something far more literal, the legend refuses to fade. It is as much a part of this place as the rocks themselves. And if you ever find yourself standing on the banks of the Snake River near dusk, when the light is dying and the water is still, listen closely. You might hear a cry, and you might not be alone. Thank you for listening to City of Nightmares. Remember to follow the show for more. And hey, if you really liked it, why not drop a rating or a comment? Apparently, Spotify introduced comments for their podcast, so don't be shy. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Our next episode takes us south to the woods of Tennessee, where the abandoned Pine Haven School still looms over a dead-end road. And some say the building itself never truly emptied. Until then, this is your host, Dan David, reminding you all to stay safe out there. I'll be seeing you in the next episode.
Nope.